my name is pretty complicated.
Okay, let's see if I got this. Piergiacomo, how are you?
Pretty good. How about you, Brandon?
I'm doing pretty good. My name's a little bit easier to pronounce than yours, so this will be fun.
Yes.
Anyways, for the people out there that may or may not be familiar with who you are and what you do you want to kind of give like a brief introduction and background on yourself?
Absolutely. Well, as my name might suggest, I'm originally Italian. I'm from Milan. Studied economics in Italy, moved out to California about 3 years ago. I worked for an angel investor network for about 2 years. So I did a lot of startup works, worked very close with entrepreneurs and founders and investors. And I was, back then I was in Orange County, and I was going to a lot of the meetups organized by blockchain at UCI. So that's kind of how I got into the community here in California. And then after that, unfortunately, being an international student is not the best. So, for visa purposes, and also because I've always wanted to go to grad school, I went to UCSB to get my master in technology management.
Mm-hmm.
While I was there, I ran the blockchain club there. It's pretty great experience until COVID hit, unfortunately.
Right.
But it was pretty fun. We organized the first blockchain conference at UCSB. It was a great success. We had almost 400 attendees, 55 speakers. There was a development tracks for coders, which was great. We were also able to get the former CEO of Cambridge Analytica, which was kind of controversial, but we thought it was the best approach to get people interested in the space, because you want to show the problems and then present the solution. You don't want to show the solution right away. So we thought that was a good way. And so after that, kept running the club. I got involved with the Blockchain Acceleration Foundation, also known as BAF, about 2 years ago. So previous to running the blockchain club at UCSB and moving to Santa Barbara. And yeah, I'm the vice president there, and it's been great 2 years. We can say we survived crypto winter. So
Good.
now is, with, as we were saying, with the market booming and a lot of, interest in the space, we think we're well positioned to really take this to the next step.
That's good. Yeah, the crypto winter was pretty hard for a lot of people the last couple of years, especially
for a non-profit.
Oh yeah, when you go all in and you jump into this stuff, and then all of a sudden it tanks like 90%. Like, I can't imagine it's really difficult. But glad you guys made it through that. And it sounds like you do quite a lot of work in California. So is that where you guys are based?
Yeah, so let me give you a little bit more context about BAF and how this all got started.
Sure.
So basically, my partner and founder, Cameron, he founded BAF when he was running the blockchain club at UCSB. And the main reason why BAF got started was because, there were all these blockchain companies eager to come to universities and, pitch their product, pitch their protocol, engage with students, and, also incentivize clubs to, run great events with donations in cryptocurrencies. Unfortunately, the nonprofit of the universities don't accept crypto. Therefore, companies cannot get a tax deduction from their donation, which is what normally happens with any other sort of donation. So, for example, the artificial intelligence club, they can get a donation in dollars. A donation in dollar, and then issue a tax deduction. That couldn't happen for crypto companies. That's why BAF got started in the first place. And then specifically in California, there are a lot of blockchain clubs. A lot of universities are very close. So specifically in Southern California, the community has been pretty active, even throughout crypto winter. So, we all met in person, and we decided to just like start working together. So Buff got started. The original founding members were presidents from blockchain clubs from all across California and Mexico, in particular UCLA, UCI, USC, UC Davis, Caltech, UC San Diego, Cal Poly, and UNAM, which is the largest university in Mexico. From there, we kind of expanded, especially with COVID, because doing things locally didn't make really much sense anymore. Just because now that we're all virtual, we can expand it. Borders don't matter anymore.
Were you able to operate very well like under COVID this year?
I gotta tell you, our operations are way leaner, and it's smooth sailing. It's just better to manage and organize everything. And I think this is a truth for us that we're a small nonprofit, but it's also true to large corporations. I think there's been a shift in how things are run, and I think it's for the best. So I probably won't go back to what we were doing before. Adapting is part of the process, and I think I think things are just we can move faster now, and that's why going back to the expansion now, we're collaborating with clubs all across the United States, but also abroad. We're very close with the blockchain club at University of Michigan, Rochester Institute of Technology on the East Coast, Carnegie Mellon, UT Dallas, the Midwestern Blockchain Consortium. All of these are, are all students, club leaders at great universities. So, now that we have to do everything virtually, just, easier for us to connect with people and, collaborate on tangible things. That's what we're all about, tangible collaboration. We're not interested in, just partnering with like, a large group of blockchain clubs and just putting a logo on the website without really doing anything for a year. And that's why we started in California, because we could have tangible collaboration, because we could meet in person. So yeah, that's kind of the background of how Buff got started, where we are right now. Happy to expand on our programs and what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've had at least one blockchain club on the podcast a year ago. I had
Nice.
Michigan State's Spartan blockchain organization. They were on the podcast, and then I had Portland State on last winter as well. Those were really fun. So we were talking about the ability to have an actual curriculum that's accredited or for credit, and how there was such a lack of it. And I was going through you guys' website, what you guys do, and that's one of the things you're pushing for, right? In California.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually our bread and butter. Our main goal is education. And the way we see we can scale blockchain education is by starting accredited courses at some of the best universities, not only in the United States, in the entire world. The reason why is because you can train engineers at scale. If every quarter a group of engineers take a blockchain course, a blockchain development course, that's how you get new developers into the Web3 space. We're very focused on technical courses. So our courses are less like, what is Bitcoin? What are use cases for blockchain? Our courses are like, going from consensus algorithms to how Ethereum works, how to develop a decentralized application. We get pretty technical. And so actually, great news. We just got our first course that we started at UCLA renewed for the third year in a row, which I think is pretty good because
Mhm.
it demonstrates the interest from the university to keep teaching this subject.
Absolutely.
And the way we go about courses is we have, first of all, we quote unquote partner with a professor, because professors are the one that can list courses within a university.
Mhm.
We work with them in developing the syllabus. We work with the blockchain club at the university to develop the syllabus, but also to facilitate speakers and the whole logistics of a course, because trust me, it's a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
And in addition to that, we also source speakers, because there's no single professor that can teach the plethora of topics that you should teach in a blockchain course, because it's not just Bitcoin or what is Bitcoin. Blockchain is the convergence of different subjects. It's not just distributed systems, it's also game theory, economics. There's much more to just computer science. And also, this such a top-notch technology, and that professors are not really at the cutting edge of it. They're not really aware of what's going on in the space, and what are the
Right.
hottest topics, what are the best companies. So we act as this kind of like trusted matchmaker that ensure that there's quality in terms of like the type of companies that go talk and give a speech at these universities, because there's a lot of fraud out there.
Right.
So
There's a
yeah.
lot of specialization that goes into it too. I mean, you got a lot of professors out there, but hardly any of them, if any, know much about blockchain and what they need to teach their students to offer that kind of a curriculum. And that goes for all kinds of things too, not outside of blockchain, whether it's um, like AI and stuff like that, and cloud computing, and there's so many different industries that are constantly evolving every year. It's just there's not a lot of course material out there for that stuff unless you get specialized, and there's nothing really out there for blockchain for that reason as well. So I definitely know firsthand how difficult that is. I was in college 3 years ago, and they didn't have anything. It was a huge topic. Like everyone wanted to like take a course on it or learn about it at least, but there's just no material or no one that's really knowledgeable as a professor that can teach it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And actually, in terms of what you said, there's no material. One cool thing that we did with the last course that we organized at UC Davis, we got the school to accept to open source the entire class. So now the entire course is online, and you can watch the videos.
That's
And you just you don't get the units that UC Davis students are getting, but you're getting very, very high quality education from some of the best leaders in the space, some of the best companies in the space. And we think that's super important. We Another thing that I would add to that is that kudos to the blockchain club at Berkeley. They were the first ones to start this very, very formal and structured decal with like a bunch of topics, a bunch of classes. I think that kind of paved the way, to formal curricula and high quality courses.
so what's the path here to get these universities to provide more accredited courses? Um, is it just like creating more material and more education for educators to, have a class like that, or is it bringing certain people in and then doing it like conference style? So I remember taking certain classes in college because I was a pre-med major at the time, and some of the topics were so high level they would just bring in speakers, and then we would listen to the speakers and take tests on that, and that would count towards our credit for the course. So I'm kind of just curious, like what direction you think is best to go, to help these universities get on track, because blockchain's like, I think it's on track to be the highest skill in demand for 2021 as well, just like the last 2 years. So there's so much demand out there. They got to start educating people at some point.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. And I guess the short answer to that is you gotta get the students interested. So for example, at UCLA, for 2 years in a row, the entire course was filled in less than a day. That shows the university that students are interested, and they really want to learn about it. Um, Another thing that we found useful was making the course project based. So, for example, the course at UC Davis that we started, 85% of the final grade is a project. These projects are suggested by the professor, but also by some of the companies that are coming in. So, for example, the companies would come in, present, give an overview of what their protocol is or what they're doing. Maybe a short demo, and then they, they give the students the option to, they give them some use cases slash kind of like some structure to what a good project would be. And we found this to be very engaging with students because, they can, they can actually start building something. So it's not just knowledge and then you take a test.
Right.
You can start building something. And also another point there, the entire course was structured to for the final project to be presented in the form of a grant. The reason to that is because a lot of these blockchain companies out there, they have a large grant program. So there's a good amount of money out there, and but if you're a developer, maybe you're not very comfortable in writing a thoughtful proposal to get that money to start building. So we kind of, we taught students how to do that. So when after the course, they can go and submit their proposals to these protocols and get funded and start building. And yeah, so that's the virtuous cycle that we envision.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, it seems like you already had the interest there among the students. Like, it doesn't seem like that's changed. Like, they want to get into this stuff and they want to learn more about it. So it doesn't seem like you have any issue there. It's just connecting that bridge and that educational gap, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing to say though is that much of the interest, especially back in 2017, 2018, when a lot of these blockchain clubs were born, was mainly for trading, mainly because Bitcoin was skyrocketing and mainly because a lot of people were making a lot of money. Therefore, the average college students that is interested in technology and,
That's
is
a good point.
informed, they want to get close to the space and understanding how can I, I don't want to say get rich on Bitcoin, but, how can I get closer and like get a better understanding of how this thing works. We're more focused on the technical side though, because that's the long run and that's where the ultimate value lays. As you were saying correctly, blockchain is one of skills that is in highest demand, and especially blockchain engineers are very well paid. And another thing is like you can like a good experience in blockchain development is considered to be a couple of years. Like if you have a couple of years of blockchain development, you're as if you were like a full stack mid-career engineer at a SaaS company. Which for a freshly graduate student is not that bad. Also, because those couple of years of experience, they can gain that through courses at universities, engaging with the club, working on projects. So yeah.
Yeah, there's just not enough people out there that can do that. So, they're going to get paid really well off the bat if they know what they're doing. So,
Absolutely.
I tell people all the time, if they don't know what they want to do, take some coding classes, some computer science classes, and look at this stuff because there's a lot of money to be made if you get into it early on, and from the technical side, and some good jobs out there. And it's interesting to me. But when you look at like the sample pool of like students, though, do you think that they're mostly interested in crypto because of like Bitcoin at this point, or do you think that it's shifted more towards like understanding the technology?
I think it's both, a mix of both. It also depends on the background of the students. So
Mhm.
the space attracts both technical and non-technical people.
Mhm.
The non-technical people are mainly from a business or economics background. I'm guilty. I'm one of them. Um, I'd love to see other, other groups of students with other backgrounds getting more into the space. Another, great categories, designers, actually artists, because with NFTs, there's a huge potential there. I see that coming later on, but I mean, the NFT market is booming. I mean,
Oh
the
yeah.
community is huge, and it's growing, so that's great.
Yeah, I've
Going,
had on tons and tons of quote unquote crypto artists. Sometimes they like the term, sometimes they don't, but that's kind of what they are. But yeah, that market has been doing really well the last couple of years, and that'd be cool to like have within a university system. Instead of taking your typical art class, maybe learn how to make an NFT and do it on blockchain or something. That'd be fun.
oh yes, that's music to my ears, and yeah, we're working towards that
Mhm.
eventually. And also, it's easy at universities because if it's a large institution, there might be the computer science department and the art department and the business school. So you kind of have all these different backgrounds in one location, in one hub. So it's just a matter of getting those people interested. Another great category in terms of university students are gamers. There's a lot of gaming clubs, and they're huge
Mhm.
because college kids like to play video games, and I'm guilty of that as well. But that's another great use case for blockchain, and another great intersection. But I want to go back to your previous question concerning Bitcoin or technical. I'd say the students that are really, really interested are ultimately interested in understanding the technology. We've seen, students coming in just because they're interested of Bitcoin, um, coming to one of our events. We organize weekly virtual events. So we see those students coming in because they're interested in crypto, they want to learn more, but then they don't really stick around. The ones that stick around are really interested in the space, are really interested in getting a job in the space. They see the potential and the value of the technology,
Mhm.
and that's ultimately, those are the people who are gonna build this industry.
Gotcha. So like when Bitcoin is, obviously Bitcoin's almost $20,000. Like it's getting really close. It was like 19.5 or 19.6 yesterday. Um, so like, when Bitcoin's doing as well as it is right now, do you think that distracts students from, the technology, and their excitement is coming from the fact that, oh, it's going up and people are making a lot of money investing into it, and maybe they want to learn how to trade it, versus, when the market's actually kind of down, or at least very quiet, um, people are mostly talking about the tech, and they're building and doing more productive stuff. Do you think that affects their mindset in terms of like who would be signing up for these courses or getting involved?
Uh, Definitely. I think, Bitcoin being at 20K, I was reading an article today on the correlation of Bitcoin price and, Google search like Bitcoin price that skyrocketed as well.
Mhm.
That means there's a lot of interest. But, Bitcoin is not the only one out there. If2 just launched, and it was what it seems a great success, and that excites developers especially, because Ethereum is exciting if you're a dev,
Mhm.
more than Bitcoin. definitely more than Bitcoin. There are a lot of other layer ones protocols out there that are doing great stuff, and they're building these ecosystems. So there's a lot of opportunities. And also another thing is that we see a new wave of entrepreneurship coming in, and this new wave is facilitated by blockchain. So all these protocols, they launched their mainnet. The protocols are live. The ecosystem is pretty small. Of course, Ethereum is the largest one. There's a lot of applications out there. All these other protocols, their ecosystem is smaller. And what that means is that there's a lot of opportunities for interested devs out there to start building on these protocols, which I think is pretty exciting, because like in the Web3 space, you can literally build a company and scale it in a matter of 3 months. I'm thinking of DeFi protocols like Yearn Finance. If you look at that and the amount of money they amassed in 3 months, that's just insane.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of opportunities out there, definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of money moving into this space very quickly. When you guys are talking about this stuff and teaching it and providing it, like, are you guys mostly using Ethereum as an example, or building things on Ethereum, or talking about Ethereum, or do you also kind of bring up the fact that it does have like competition that is similar and different in certain ways?
Oh no, we definitely bring that up. We are blockchain agnostic. We just want to present people with the options, or better said, with the options that we believe are valid options. And then we let students decide.
Okay.
Because again, there are other protocols that are very exciting out there. We're very close to Near Protocol, to Algorand, Cello. Those are great projects. Those are all great projects. Protocol Labs is another one. So the opportunities are there. Definitely Ethereum is the richest ecosystem. There's more dev tooling out there. There are more libraries that developers can use. There are more courses. There are more mentors. The community is just bigger.
Right.
But all these other protocols, they're the reason why they got started is not to be the Ethereum killer, but just to have their own space in the industry. And if that is by creating a bridge with Ethereum, or just doing their own thing, doesn't matter. It's still valid tech. It's still great tech that can scale, and has there's all the good signs are there. It's just a matter of engaging the community, getting people onboarded, getting people interested, and creating new opportunities.
Yeah, I talk to a lot of people, and some of them are not very agnostic. they're very
Maxi.
one maximalist, one side or the other. I've met people that are definitely Bitcoin maximalists, and they think that you can build everything on Bitcoin in the future. And then there are people that are Ethereum maximalists and say Bitcoin doesn't need to exist. And then you get all kinds of different opinions. It's always kind of fun, especially on a podcast. But I'm hoping that there's a diversity, at least in the tech and what's out there. It'd be cool if Ethereum wasn't the only main dApp platform, and there's competition to it. It helps both protocols push each other and grow. Maybe there can be some competition with Bitcoin in the future. That stuff's healthy, healthy economically and technologically, and with innovation. So hopefully we can get there, and it's not just a one coin to rule them all type deal.
Yeah, I really hope so. And I mean, we are at the very, very early stages of all of this. We can make the classic example of the dot-com bubble. And, back then it was, similar scenario, similar situation, start with few players. But at the end of the day, you have to see who's going to scale to hundreds of millions of users, if not billions. And those are going to be the real winners.
Right.
We all hope to decentralize software, and we're all kind of open source guys here. We believe in decentralization. We believe in community. We believe in software for good. So if that's the goal, I think that being maxi kind of goes against that. And also it's not very healthy for the space in general. Because we're going after, first of all, we're going after the problems. So how do we bank the unbanked?
Right.
How do we make sure that, our data online are safe and secure and we actually own them? Then we start finding the solutions, and there is no one solution for all. So I think, again, focusing on just one coin or one project and saying that that's it, I don't think is healthy for the industry. Maybe that's what it is ultimately, but I think we'll need to wait at least 5 to 10 years to, make a final judgment.
Right. I think we're making some good progress though, because like 3 years ago, people would really only talk about Bitcoin, or if they talked about cryptocurrencies, it was from a financial perspective. There just wasn't a whole lot of talk on, what you could do with the tech other than Ethereum, and Ethereum was still pretty young, given what it was doing at the time. Today, it's kind of interesting because, like, take the election for example. Not to get into politics, but there were so many people upset that we had our own blockchain conspiracy theories. They were using blockchain to verify votes, and that there's some conspiracy that this election might flip, or this could get figured out in court. And I was like, I don't know if that's the reality, but it's cool that people are thinking that way. How blockchain can solve problems, though, because in the future, in the US and definitely in other countries, you'll be able to use blockchain to help, verify voting as a solution, on top of all the other things it can do. So, I see little things like that all the time now from ordinary people. And it's like, okay, well, they seem to understand the technology a bit better. It's not just from a financial perspective. So I think we're moving in the right direction slowly.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the goal, ultimately. We want to enable people. The goal of Bitcoin is not Bitcoin being at 20,000 so a bunch of people can get rich. The goal of Bitcoin is making sure that every person on Earth can own their assets digitally in a secure way without a third party saying, telling them if they're owning their asset or not. And another great value of Bitcoin and crypto in general is, you can move across borders, across nations, across countries with just a USB, with all your wealth in your pocket. And there's nobody out there that is going to tell you that you cannot do that. That's the core value. So that's why I think the whole, maximalist propaganda sort of is definitely not healthy. And yeah, moving forward, I think that's probably gonna, I don't want to say penalize, but like some of the people who are pushing that hard, we have to reconsider their thoughts, in my opinion.
Right.
But let's see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things shape up. I mean, what do you think is where do you think the market's headed, overall? Because obviously we got this awesome, growth in 2020, despite even the pandemic and everything. And there's a lot of interest, a lot of money coming in, a lot of development. Do you think that carries over well into 2021? Or do you think this is going to be similar to, late 17, early 18, where it kind of crashed again? Because it's like Bitcoin's moving fast, but the other projects are seeming to come up a little bit slower, at least right now. You think maybe that's healthy growth, or a little bit of a bubble we're in, or what do you think?
I'm super bullish on the crypto market, and I know that sounds biased, but I'll give two reasons. The first reason being the ecosystem is there, the ecosystem is growing, and it's not just Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's all these other protocols that are very young, like we're talking 2017. So it's and some of these are already unicorns. Like Near protocol is a crypto unicorn. And they're backed by like some of the best VCs in the world. They have some of the best, computer scientists, cryptographers, academics involved.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I work close with the Algorand Foundation, um, and they have some of the best academics there. One of their advisor actually just recently won the Nobel Prize in economics. So
Nice.
definitely the smart people are there. This is going to incentivize entrepreneurs, especially young ones, to start, populating these ecosystems with applications, with businesses, because that's ultimately the goal here.
Right.
And that's my first point. The second point, and the main reason why I'm bullish, is because overall, despite many of these companies being based in the US, many of their employees working being Americans or being based in the US, the US are still, kind of left out of the market. Cameron, for example, uh, cannot participate in certain token sales that I can participate as a European, which is crazy. And that is why, and that is because the American government, I don't want to say they have an unfriendly approach to crypto, but they definitely, the space is highly regulated, heavily
There's a reason
regulated.
for it too. I mean, they don't
There is
know what to do about it.
absolutely, and that's fair enough, absolutely, especially after the ICO boom and all the scams and all the people that got burnt. But I think that is, regulation is great, but what has happened in the past years is kind of like, the government took the approach of like, let's sit back and see what happens and then come, after and regulate, which is great. But I see, and I don't want to go back to politics, but
Hmm.
I really think that this administration will double down on blockchain, and that is at like, the federal level. I'm talking like NSF grants and like, consistent capital. And another reason for that is because they have pressure from China, because China is at the cutting edge of this. They're way ahead. They have their program figured out. They know what they're doing with blockchain. They have a master plan.
The
Um,
current administration or the incoming administration?
yeah, sorry, incoming.
Okay.
Yeah, currently elected administration. I don't want to be political here,
No, I got you.
but
I understand.
yeah. The incoming administration. And it's not a matter of like, what party it is. I think it's just like whatever administration, and it's not just the US, the entire world is like, they need to follow China. Like China is really there. So everybody else kind of feels, the push to get there,
Hmm.
because blockchain is not just this new technology that people don't really know about. Like the EU, for example, like they have a framework, they have a legal framework. Structures have been built, legislators have worked on this. So it's getting more formal, but I think slowly but surely the government will get into that. And as soon as the US market, kind of opens up, then you have 300 plus million people getting into it at full pace and at full capacity.
Yeah.
And that's going to boost the market incredibly.
I think it's inevitable just because of how much money is in this market at this
Yes.
stage, being how young it is. Also, the competition out there too. I mean, you got China launching their national sovereign digital currency. It's going to push a lot of major first world countries to jump on that bandwagon. And I guarantee the U.S. has already got a potential future plan laid out for that, anyways. Um, but I mean, the interesting about the US is it's such a big country and we operate a lot of the times at the state level more than we do at the federal level with this stuff. And it looks like the states, a lot of them that I have had contacts and be able to talk to people and that are at work and um, the different agencies there, especially in Wyoming and Arizona, some states like that. They're doing a lot of work with blockchain. You know, and it'll probably be some of these states putting together some really good use cases at the state level that they will eventually be able to take to the federal level. Because they probably won't just roll something out at the federal level because no one really understands it yet. And you got all these sandboxes and pilots going on in different states. You know, someone there will probably bring it up at some point because there's just not enough senators and reps really understand it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, great point with Wyoming. But I think that's actually one of the benefits of federalism. You know,
Mhm.
you can kind of test things locally, and then if they work, you can scale them across all the states. Another point there is, you know, also considering our roles with universities. You know, historically speaking, universities in the United States are the hubs for innovation. So if there's a new technology, you know, and you want to explore it, you get a bunch of smart people at one of the top universities. You give them a grant and you tell them, okay, start researching this and see what comes out. If results are promising, then you can scale that.
Mhm.
So we see that like actually universities playing a huge role in the industry. With more capital, more interest, we can really scale this. And I think the minds are there, the talents is there, all the right pieces are there to take it to the next step, really.
Yeah, we're getting there. You know, before we wrap up and everything, you know, do you guys have plans to like expand this outside of California, or is that like your main area of focus right now with your existing, you know, work with universities there, or like what's the roadmap look like for you guys?
Well, actually, we are in the process of expanding our board.
Mhm.
So how we're governed is like all the clubs that are members of BAF. Each one of their presidents sits on our board, and presidents do two things: they vote on bylaws and they vote on budget. And also, of course, we work on projects together, and that also expands to the rest of the club. But right now we're gonna add new board members, and in particular people from University of Michigan, University of Dallas, Rochester Institute of Technology, Carnegie Mellon, the Midwestern Blockchain Consortium. It's a consortium of different universities in the Midwest, so I cannot say what particular university. We're going to have one of their representative
Mhm.
joining our board. So yeah, definitely we're expanding outside the US, and also we are adding a club in Australia, at the University of Adelaide. So their president is going to sit on our board. So we're definitely expanding internationally. There, and also like the American market is great. As I said, many of the top companies are based here.
Mhm.
But probably you can start testing use cases and like have a more engaged community in other countries where people are more eager to get into the space because it's not as direct, because they don't live close to San Francisco where all the top blockchain companies are based.
Mhm.
They really have that push to get into the industry. Therefore, they're more eager to collaborate. They're more eager to be part of the community. So definitely, this is an international movement. This is a world movement, and living in a virtual world definitely helps.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. Exciting for you. Exciting times. Good time to be in crypto for sure, especially with the markets trending up right now. Um,
Absolutely.
how can people find out more about your guys' foundation? How can they find you online?
Well, first thing first, follow us on Twitter. And also, if you're interested in the space and you don't have a Twitter account, make one, because the entire community lives on Twitter. So follow us on Twitter. You can visit our website at blockchainacceleration.org. You can find more information about who we are, what we do. Also check out our YouTube page. We have all the recordings of our previous events. We ran over 25 events with like top people from the industry, from Silvio Micali from Algorand, Emin Gunsirer from Avalabs. We actually last 2 weeks ago, we hosted an event on Ethereum governance, and all of a sudden we see a Vitalik in the chat, and it turns out it wasn't a troll, it was actually Vitalik joining our event, and we invited him on stage, of course. So that's pretty great. And also attend our events. That's where we meet. Also, if you want to meet other students, other blockchain professionals, network with great people from the community, definitely come to one of our events. And we have the upcoming one that we have is in 2 days, and it's all about crypto taxes, especially if you're making a lot of capital gains with tokens. You will have to pay taxes. So we're having a lawyer from Baker Hostetler coming in, and also one of the co-founder of the Giving Block. So definitely worth checking that out. And and also feel free to reach out to me personally. I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter. Happy to.
What's the Twitter? I'll follow it right now.
The Buff Network.
Day Bath.
Sorry for my pronunciation. Like THE Buff Network.
Oh, the Bath.
The Buff Network.
Gotcha. Boom. Guys, go follow. Oh, you can't see it. That sucks. Wait,
there you go.
There you go. Maybe. No. Okay. I got to work on that with Zoom. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, dude, I already forgot how to pronounce your name, but PG, right? I can call you that?
Yeah, that's it. That's great.
Okay, cool. PG. Thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. Fun talk. Love what you guys are doing, and looking forward to following you guys and what your mission, your adventure, and everything you're doing. And education is so important, especially in this space. The more people you get educated, the more can get involved. So it's awesome what you guys are doing. And again, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Brandon. Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Have you on again in the future for sure.
Whenever. Happy to be back whenever you want.
Cool. All right. Have a great week and talk to you soon.
Likewise, you too. Bye.
All right. Bye.